Stock Tip. Best Stock Setups.
Hi, welcome back to a new episode of Stock Tip Daily Update with me, Marcel Toder. Finally, we had a nice day. Finally, the S&P managed to end the day with a lot of strength, and we didn't get any mixed signals like we did the last few days. If you recall, here every time we were nearing a resistance, we we managed to turn back down and to end the day on a negative note again. Here the same thing. So here we started on negative tone and went again up, only to finish really awful. And today was a little different. Today we started low, we went up, and basically we've just consolidated for the remaining of the trading hours. And I actually used used this doji here to go back in. I'm very happy with the developments today, and you can also see post-market we still continue to see a lot of strength. So I'm hopeful that the worst is behind us, and that we can manage to break out now and head north again, hopefully test the all-time high. So you can't know what's going to happen. No one is a fortune teller here, but I'm pretty hopeful that the worst is behind us and that we can continue our journey north for the time being. So we've corrected quite a little, not that much actually. If you take a wider look at it, so not that much. We are still at the moment, since the lows of the pandemic, of the beginning of the pandemic, we are still a generous 104% up. So it's not that much of a correction if you take a wider look at it, but it's it's enough to keep us on our toes. So the Nasdaq actually looks a bit more powerful now. You have this sideways movement here, and we've also finished at the top of our game here. And also post-market we had a lot of strength. Actually, before the closing hours, so before the close, we've actually managed to break out in the Nasdaq and in the SPY out of this major support line here, only to end up with some weakness and what seemed like an possible outside reversal. So the same thing happened here in the SPY, but I'm pretty pleased to see that the post-market developments are still looking good. So in the last video, or one of the last videos, I've told you if we manage to break above the 453 mark, and possibly then go above this major trend line here, then we would be seeing an end to this correction and a start to our rally. I think I have to pull it down a little. That doesn't matter, pretty much doesn't matter. So nice. Now it looks a little better. Then we would see an end to our correction and a start to our rally. And I hope it is like this. I've actually opened my position here, so I waited. We touched this. We had a nice up move, then a little consolidation. This was a point where I actually went long again, but with a quite small position and a stop here. Then we tested it, then we got this candle, and that's where I've inverted my trade. Actually, I've closed my trade and I waited. Then came this candle, this big red candle, and that's where I went short. And I pretty much closed my short as this bar here came to a close with the doji. So I don't know if you know this, but there is a strategy that you can trade, the 920 strategy, and it says here we've actually tested the VWAP. but it's still the same. So in this 9 to 20 strategy, if you get you pretty much get a correction to the 9 or to the 20 moving average, in our case here to the VWAP, but pretty much always when you see such a doji here, that ends just above your last support level, your 20 line or your VWAP line, in this case the VWAP line, that's a very, very strong, a very bullish sign. And as soon as you go above the high of this doji, then that's where you know you can go long with a short below the low of the doji, and that's exactly what I did, and I actually opened a pretty generous position here, and after that I decided to do the same here in the Nasdaq. So I did the same here in the Nasdaq, and I did the same here in the IVM. But out of the three of them, the SPY is the generous one. The rest of them are slightly more risk than I'm used to, because, as I've said, I'm optimistic that the worst is behind us, and I pretty much want to get my investments worth. I pretty much want to get as much money as soon as possible in. It may turn out to be a mistake. It may end up costing me a little. We shall see tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. So my hopes for tomorrow are that we are going to. So sorry, I wanted to show you the IVM. So the IVM also looks pretty strong at the moment. So the IVM developed into this setup, this very nice horizontal setup, and I'm absolutely loving it at the moment. And we've actually managed to broke out of this other formation here, and we've finished with quite a lot of strength above, definitely above this trend line. So I think it's starting to look good. It just remains to be seen if the IVM manages to break out above this trend line, above this resistance line here, 203 or 204, let's say 204. If it manages, then we get our confirmation. If not, I will get a little stopped. But if it does manage, then brace yourself, because we might just be in for a nice rally. So I don't know where the journey is headed, but I know a setup when I see one, and this is a nice setup. It just needs to break out and be confirmed. Perhaps the markets manage to pull them through. But we shall see tomorrow. The DAX also moved sideways, and like always is waiting for a move from the US markets. Till then, we also see here a developing ascending triangle. That's also pretty nice to see, because this is one of the bullish formations here. Most of the times the pressure mounts, and we end up breaking out above this resistance line. But that's most of the times. If it doesn't, then the journey south continues, and we have a nice possible stop here. Euro to US dollar actually moved in my direction today. I'm hoping to get it here, but now it doesn't matter anymore, because I'm pretty much invested. So that's not much I can change at the moment. But I was hoping to initially I was hoping to get it to where I initially entered my trade here, my hedge, and then close the hedge. And it's moving slowly, steadily in this direction. Perhaps we shall see the continuation tomorrow. But as I've said, being invested, it doesn't really make a difference anymore, because I am invested in US stocks and in US indexes, so pretty much in US dollars. So it doesn't matter if my basic currency is euro. When I'm invested, then I'm invested in US dollars. Oil is also moving slowly and steadily in the direction of the last resistance line here of this trend canal. But we still have quite a bit to go before we get there. Gold and silver Gold and silver keep making up for some losses here, both of them, and they are still below the trend line here. As I've said yesterday, I would recommend, if you want to get invested in gold, then I recommend an entry based on the weekly chart, not on the daily chart, because in the daily chart you will simply get destroyed by the sheer amount of gaps that you keep getting. Okay, now for the second part of our video, the discussions. So I ended up opening quite a lot of positions today, and I'm pretty much on the long side, but pretty much so basically with low risk, except for the SPY ETF. The other positions are pretty short here, and I've maintained my usual risk, but still, if they get close, then I will take a hit. What was the reason for me going long again? So the developments in the SPY, but also the developments in Apple, because this looked like a breakout here, a nice breakout, a very powerful breakout with a lot of volume, and then followed by a nice pullback to the 9 and 20, in this case to the 9 moving average, and today we had the breakout of the pullback. So the second breakout out of the pullback doesn't normally have to have a lot of volume. So I'm not that disturbed by the fact that I'm lacking a little volume here. I am more pleased with how this bar here looks. Where did I go in? I actually used the 15-minute chart like I always do for this, but for the moment I'm going to turn off the post market, so then we get a better look. So this is where I went in. So you see here, Apple continued. This was the original pullback here, the original level where we had our pullback. I wasn't really paying attention because this would have been the optimal setup here, the optimal entry point here, right here. You see it. This would have been a terrible entry point here with a stop here. So the absolute low of the pullback. So this would have been it. Now you see it. But like I always do, I was pretty much not on the desk. I was looking out for my boy, and then I used the second opportunity here after the nice pullback. I used the second opportunity here, and you also see some volume there, and with a stop at 173.5, and that's where I opened pretty generous position, but again with a calculated risk. So the risk is not bigger than usual, but because I've used a 15-minute chart, it offers me a nice possibility for some for some bigger chunks. The first target would be obviously 180, 182, and I pretty much hope that the journey is going to continue. So see here, this is where we touched the less mark here, and the journey simply continued further. Basically, from the lowest point of this correction here, I will do it like this. From the lowest point of this correction, then basically more than doubling, so 2.5 times the amount of the correction. So that's why I'm hopeful that we are going to reach 200 or so, but this is only hopeful thinking, so we shall see what happens. So the first target would be here, so this is where this is where I intend to take my first profits. But this may change depending on the market conditions. And then NIO was kind of an impulse buy, a must-have, because I can't trade Tesla. Tesla is the go-to car manufacturer, so the go-to electric car manufacturer, but I always fail in trading Tesla, and with Neo, I've always had success, so I'm keeping it simple, stupid. Keep it simple, stupid. That's the basic rule, and I'm going for Neo. So at the end of the trading hour today, I actually bought a piece of Neo, and I'm curious to see how it develops. A very nice setup. All these setups that I've traded today, before I forget, these are all new scans from today that I've added on the website stock-tip.com. So a lot of opportunities, and these are mainly just from today. Some very nice setups, and I believe them to offer some huge possibilities or some huge opportunities. So if my stop here in Neo, I didn't want to go in intraday, so I've left my stop basically here at 22.5, I think, or 22.4. I've given it a little room to develop, and we shall see what happens. The potential is pretty big here. If we reach the last support line that's turned now to a resistance line, then the potential still remains pretty huge. And then another trade, didn't have too much money for it, but I couldn't help myself, and this looks fantastic. And when Amazon goes, then Amazon goes. This was the last time that happened here in 2020. So when Amazon starts after correction, I think I can get you there. Then Amazon continues, and doesn't wish to stop. So this is our correction. Sorry, it takes a little longer, I know. This is our correction here, and Amazon started and then continued, and continued some more, and continued some more. And if you take a better look at it, Amazon actually consolidated now for basically 2 years or so, and that's why the next move may surprise us. So there is a possibility for a nice move in Amazon. I don't know if there is any substance to it, but there is a lot of potential here, and I'm going to hold on to it. So I haven't bought too many pieces of them, because, as you know, my portfolio is since the beginning of the year in the range of 20,000. So you can't actually buy that many of them, but I think enough is enough. Then further IVM I've already showed you. So ADP, another title from today's scan list. ADP also a terrible horizontal breakout setup, and it got activated today. Got activated in the 15-minute chart. So this is it. And basically in the last couple of minutes, I think in the last 10 minutes of trading, and yes, in the last 10 minutes of trading, it got activated. It finished just above the correction line, so this looks good for me. I think my stop, I don't know if my stop is here or if my stop is here. I don't know it anymore, but I'm also curious to see how this title is going to perform now. And then HPE, it's not a new addition, it's an old addition. I still have it here. HPE continues to move slowly, and but moves in the right direction at least. And I'm hopeful. I am actually a little excited to see what's the potential of this title, because we've also had here a very long consolidation over the course of 4 years, and it would be time to see a breakout if that's going to happen. The stop remains here underneath the low of the pullback, and then the last position, actually I've said goodbye to this position today. The last position is Sting. So I've wished for some more momentum here. So we've had the breakout, the pullback, then the breakout, and I'm really not in the mood for a new pullback. I think the title is still going to perform good, but I kind of wish for some more momentum, especially when we are hoping that the rally is bound to start. Now for the third part of our video, if you did enjoy the video so far, don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you do have any questions, then write them down in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to visit us on our website stock-tip.com. You'll certainly find something that you love there. Okay, then for the scans and setups.